Alright, you primitive screwheads, listen up. Welcome back to Dark Arts and Entertainment, Grimm's Tales of Japan and the Far East. I'm your host, Eric the Brother Grimm Drummond. And today, we're going to go a little bit off the beaten path, which is a place that I like going. Now, many people who listen to this are interested, of course, in Japan. Many of you want to come here, are going to come here. Some of you live here already. So let's go out of the norm here, and I'm going to recommend that you have a look at a city called Shimonoseki in Yamaguchi prefecture. Now, where it is Yamaguchi prefecture at the very bottom of it. It is the southernmost tip of Honshu Island. A short ferry ride, even away from Kyushu Island. Population of just under 300,000. And this city is worthwhile to go to for a few reasons. It's got some very interesting history behind it. One of its bits of history is pretty near and dear to my heart in that it boasts a very famous duel between two of the most legendary swordsmen of all time. You might have heard of it. It was the duel between Sasuke Kojiro, also known as the Demon of Kyushu, and who is often considered the greatest swordsman of all time, Miyamoto Musashi. This is the duel where Musashi killed Kojiro using a wooden sword, or as sometimes the story goes, using as an oar from a boat. The duel itself took place on a little island not far away from Shimonoseki, which you can still access very easily today. Now, more information on the duel can be found in a lot of different places, including one of my earlier YouTube videos. A couple of years ago, I did a video called The Legend of Sasuke Kojiro and its connection to Kintai-kyo Bridge in Iwakuni, Japan. So if you'd like to, please feel free. Go over to my YouTube channel and check it out. Learn a little bit more about how the duel itself went down. It was a very pivotal moment in a lot of ways. First off, for Musashi himself, it was the real launching point of his fame and his career as a swordsman. Also, it was a profound impact upon his life in general, as it turns out that was the last time he ever killed anybody in a duel. And it wasn't even halfway through his career as a duelist. Today, you can actually, like I said, still go to the island itself, and there are two statues that still fight this duel to this very day, between Musashi on one side and Kojiro on the other. And the statues themselves are very impressive and very imposing. It's a worthwhile place to visit and pay some respects to. While you're there, there's another spot that you really need to know about. Those of you who are Japanophiles have probably come across the works of Lafcadio Hearn, the legendary author who immigrated to Japan from Ireland. Hearn wrote what is required reading, in my opinion, for anybody interested in this area of the world, and that is the Kwaidan, which translates to a collection of short stories. Much like what the Brothers Grimm did back in Europe, Hearn went around Japan and collected folklore and scary stories from the villages and the towns throughout the country. And some of the most famous published in his works, Strange Stories of Japan, and then the Kwaidan itself. And the best ghost stories are the ones that have some history to them and some truth behind them. The very first story in the Kwaidan is connected to Shimonoseki, specifically at the Akama Shrine in Shimonoseki itself. The story is the one of Hoichi the Earless, and the location still exists to this day. It's a unique shrine, one that you should visit anyway just because of how it looks. You see, it looks very bulbous and flowing. It's very unique and different than most of your shrines out here in Japan. You would not be wrong in describing it as having the appearance of what a Japanese shrine would look like if it was placed in the set of The Little Mermaid. It has that flowing, kind of under-the-sea look to it. And there is a reason for that. The shrine was built as an homage to the Dragon Castle, which is kind of like a Japanese Atlantis, where there is a race of undersea warriors that exist, or are said to be existing, just off the shores of Shimonoseki itself, and live in a castle called the Dragon Castle. So the whole undersea motif, in and of itself, is worthy to go to. But this was also the location for the famous story of Hoichi the Earless, which I'll paraphrase for you now. Hoichi, during the Edo period, was a blind musician, and what he lacked in eyesight he more than made up for in musical talent, specifically when it came to singing and playing the biwa, a stringed instrument here in Japan. Artists back then didn't have the prestige or the bank accounts that artists sometimes do today, particularly very talented and famous musicians. So Hoichi made his way by traveling from place to place and playing for whoever would have him, seeking shelter wherever he could as well. When he was in Shimonoseki, he went to Akama Shrine. He asked the local priest if he could seek shelter for the night, and the priest, of course, agreed and said, "Stay as long as you would like." Well, on his first night there, when he was practicing with his biwa, playing a song about the legendary battle between the Genji clan and the Heikei clan, he was approached from behind, and a very strong, powerful voice said, "You, playing that song. That is an excellent version of that song. I would like to commission you to play that for my master tonight." Hoichi said, "Well, of course, absolutely. Lead the way." So he followed footsteps in the voice of the gruff, seemingly samurai spirit, and he played for the master when they arrived at their destination. The master said when he was finished that was the best rendition of that song that he had ever heard. "Come back tomorrow night. I will commission to hear it again." Hoichi thanked him and went on his way back to the shrine. And this had continued for a few days. The priest eventually got curious as to where Hoichi was going every night at such strange late hours. So one night he followed him. And as it turns out, Hoichi was following a ball of light away from the shrine every night. The ball of light led him to an ancient cemetery. And he was playing for the spirits of the Heikei clan, the clan that suffered defeat in his song. Well, when Hoichi returned, the priest notified him of what it is that he was actually doing and who it is he was actually playing for. He warned him, too, that this could be serious trouble. "If you go with them again, I'm afraid that those spirits will take you as one of their own." To fix this problem, he decided to try a ritual that would make Hoichi invisible to the spirits. He wrote sacred sutras all over Hoichi's body, head to toe, while reciting the sacred prayers. He told Hoichi after he was finished and every inch of his body was covered in the writings, that these writings should make you invisible to the spirits when they come back to you, collect you tonight. When they can't find you, they should leave. But be careful. Don't move, and don't make a sound, or else they might catch you. The priest retreated back into the shrine, leaving Hoichi to await the spirits. Well, sure enough, the spirit came to collect him again. But this time, when the samurai spirit looked around the shrine, he couldn't see anything. Well, he couldn't see almost anything. He did, however, see a disembodied pair of ears floating in front of him. As it turns out, the priest nearly covered Hoichi's entire body, but he didn't write the sutras on his ears. So, the samurai was disappointed, wondering where the musician could have gone, and he definitely did not want to disappoint his master. So he decided to do what any good samurai would do, which would be to bring back anything he could find. of the musician that he was tasked to get. He took hold of Hoichi's ears and tore them off his head. And Hoichi, the entire time, knowing that if he cried out, would give himself away. So he sat there and just took it as his ears were ripped off his head. When the spirit left, the priest came to treat his wounds, and Hoichi finally managed to break down. Though it seems to have worked, the spirits did not return, and, as the stories go, no other activity has been reported in the Akama Shrine. And don't feel bad for Hoichi. He actually managed to live a pretty successful life after this. In fact, word went around far and wide about the talented blind musician who lost his ears playing for spirits. And because of that, Hoichi found himself in high demand. He lived many years afterwards and died a prosperous man. To this very day, you can see the shrine, and when you go to the shrine, there is a spot dedicated to "This is where Hoichi sat" on that fateful night. And you can sit in the same spot yourself. You can see murals painted on the wall depicting the battle between the Heike and the Genji, and yes, you can take a short path to a very ancient cemetery. The locals to this day say that this story is absolutely true, and they give their respects and alms to the shrine and say a prayer or two for Hoichi every now and then. Though they do say that no other spirit or strange spooky activity comes from the shrine, as the spirit seems to have been placated. But then again, nobody stays till all hours of the night practicing a biwa and singing a song either. So if you have any musical talent, head over to Shimonoseki. Play the biwa. See what happens. Just make sure to cover your entire body this time. Oh, and I would be remiss to not mention, one of the other things Shimonoseki is very famous for is they have a really great aquarium down there. A big place, reasonably priced, great seahorses, a good show, worth going to. And consequently, the seafood there is dynamite as well. So for those of you who are interested in Japan and want to take a travel around the island, I'm going to recommend Shimonoseki down there on the south end of Honshu. Maybe even that should be part of their marketing material. Shimonoseki. Come for the aquarium. Stay because you got killed in a duel. Stay even longer because you became a vengeful spirit. Yeah. They should be paying me for this. Well, and as always, if you have stories or if you have questions, I want to hear them. Message me anytime. Go check out my YouTube channel for that other video about the famous duel between Musashi and Kojiro. And as always, remember, some mysteries are not meant to be solved. Some are meant to be savored. Until next time, Grim out.